Hello, everyone. Welcome to Choices Finding Your Joy. Paula Vail here. I have been counting the days for this interview. I am so passionate about this topic. I am thrilled to share with everyone today Don Paris, PhD. He is a published author, speaker, video producer, and musician. His book, Regaining Wholeness Through the Subtle Dimensions, has been published internationally in multiple countries. Don was awarded an honorary doctorate degree in human science from an international university in Stockholm, Sweden in 2000 for his work with all these subtle energies. First off, welcome, Don.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. It's great to see you, Paula.
I'm just so excited to have you here.
Awesome.
Well, let's just jump in, Don, and let's begin with what is EMF?
Well, EMF is, the technical name is electromotive force. We shorten it to EMF, but it's kind of been transformed into the words electromagnetic fields because that's something that we can all relate to, and we know, most people know what an electromagnetic field is. For example, your cell phone emits an electromagnetic field to the tower emits it back to the phone, and those fields can talk back and forth. So radio waves are electromagnetic fields, power lines are electromagnetic fields. So we have all kinds of different electromagnetic, there's a component of electricity and magnetism in this movement of energy. And some of them are very beneficial to our bodies, and there are some that are damaging to our bodies, just like some foods are beneficial to us, some foods are not good for us. They're toxins and nutrients. So we have the same type of thing in electromagnetic fields. We have, for example, the Earth, the Schumann resonance frequency, they call it, the Schumann frequency. The Earth actually emits an EMF, a very slow pulse. It used to be around 7.83 hertz when Schumann discovered it, and since then it seems to be going up in frequency. But generally in that frequency range, it's very beneficial to our bodies. Our cells they respond and orient themselves to the Earth frequency. When lightning goes off, lightning flashes, I think it's something like 2,000 times per second. I'd have to look that one up, but somewhere on the Earth, there's constant lightning going on. We're an electrical planet. And so our bodies have oriented themselves to these fields. Our cells are electromagnetic as well. You know, even like birds, for example, they have magnetite in them, and they use more of the magnetic part, but that's how they navigate, with the magnetic portion. But since we're putting out all these electromagnetic fields, they also have a magnetic component. Birds are getting off course. Those are the little things. But the big things are really, we're talking about cell phones in the last, 30 years. We didn't have cell phones before 30 years ago. Smart meters, which are electric meters, which now are 100 times stronger than a cell phone radiation coming off of your house. They communicate with their own tower system. They're setting up these towers everywhere for the meters so that they don't have to come and read the meter. That's what they say. That's one aspect to it. But they can also tell which appliance you're turning on with all these new smart appliances. When you open the refrigerator, they can tell which room you're in, which lights you turn on. Basically, if you're using the washing machine, they can get a lot of information of who's in the house, who's not in the house, just from watching in the office what's going on with your meter from miles away.
Don,
so this is
a quick question. How would someone know if there was a smart meter at their house?
Okay. In the old meter, the electric meter, it has a wheel that turns around. That's the old style analog meter. And those are as safe as we can imagine. I mean, they've been around for 100 years, and it seems like that's working okay. But the new ones have a digital readout, so that shows the numbers, like a digital clock that shows the amount of usage that you're using. And those all have it's like a cell phone. It's microwave frequencies that they're communicating with, but 100 times stronger. And the thing is that these meters are connected to the house wiring, right? So these frequencies then are basically going throughout the house. They do fall off, but they are going through the house. And there's just, if you go to stopsmartmeters.org, you can get tons of information. People, they've caused thousands of fires, first of all, in America. And they're covering all this up because they don't want people to know that these things aren't safe. Thousands of fires, not just a couple. And people complaining from headaches and trying to get them out of their house. I mean, anyway, that's a whole issue in itself, is stopsmartmeters.org.
Thank you.
And that's a really good resource, and that will educate people as to what's going on in this, because they're blanketing the planet. It's not just America. It's all over the world. They want smart meters everywhere on this network, and it could just be a monetary thing. There's billions and billions of dollars are being made off of switching out old meters to new meters. It may be as simple as that, but I think the invasion of privacy has something to do with it in there. We'll see.
Thank you, Don.
So we've got cell phones, we've got smart meters, and we've got Wi-Fi. Now, even if you don't have a cell phone, even if you don't have Wi-Fi in your house, you're still being exposed by your neighbors, most likely, unless you're living out on a farm where nobody's nearby. But there's just these EMF signals, these microwave signals, which, microwaves, at least everybody knows what a microwave is. Put your food in there, you put a chicken in there, and you push go, and it cooks the chicken. And now we're taking cell phones and we're putting them on our head, or women are sticking them in their bras to carry them around. I've personally talked with doctors that have seen these tumors growing in women's breasts, the shape of the cell phones, a square tumor right where they keep their cell phone. I mean, that's personal information. Now, that's not a study, but I've personally talked with doctors that have, more than one doctor actually, that have seen that.
Yes.
So it's just it's a real problem. I mean, this is a problem. Let me show you a couple pictures of what's going on in America, which I think will shock you to see how many frequencies are actually going on here. So I'm going to just click on share my screen. Let me know when you see that. Now, for the people just listening in, I'll try and describe some of these things of what we're seeing here. So electrosmog, what we just talked about what electrosmog is. Electrosmog is like air pollution, but now it's frequencies that are polluting our environment. So they're everywhere. We can't really get away from them. And this is a picture of a smart meter versus an analog meter. You asked about that earlier. So the one on the left is the smart meter, and it has the digital readout, and the one on the right has that little wheel that spins around, and those are just fine. That's what we want to have. So this is a map which shows the current blanketing of cell phone signals throughout the U.S. So the darker the yellow there, you see like where it says Philadelphia, and over on the East Coast, it's dark yellow everywhere. It's just completely blanketed with frequencies. There's nowhere to get away from it. Here's a little close-up of the East Coast. There's basically, if you're in a city, you're being radiated by microwave frequencies. There's no doubt about that. And my friend, Dr. Willard Frank, this was probably about 20 years ago, he had created this little tiny box with a frequency generator in it to put out bio-friendly frequencies, right? Mm-hmm. So his idea was if you have a little frequency generator that's putting out the biofrequencies and you keep it closer to your body, then you're not going to be so affected by external incoming ones because they're weaker signals. So this signal's a little bit stronger. Actually, it's weaker than a cell phone signal, but since it's closer to your system, then your body will tend to orient back to the biofrequencies. And that was called the Scalar Plus. And it does work on scalar electromagnetics, which I do go into my book of what that is and how it works. And actually, the listeners can get my book for free, Regaining Wholeness Through the Subtle Dimensions, if they go to my website, www.s like in Sam, E like in Edward, and then a minus sign, number5.com, se-5.com. It's a short one, so you can probably remember it, se-5.com. And just sign up for my newsletter and you'll get my book download for free. And I go into all of that mathematics, and some of it's a little deep, but it's really an adventure story of how all of this developed. And and it's quite exciting. But for the technical mind, I do go into the science, and that's partially actually how I got my honorary PhD, was from my work in this field with my book. So I worked with Dr. Willard Frank for 25 years, and after he passed away, he never did put it on the market. He had designed it and gave me a prototype, and I tried it out. Just absolutely loved it because I would fly. I fly a lot. So I kept it with me when flying, and flying is one of the times where you really notice EMF pollution. I took one of my EMF meters with me on a flight once, and it was a pretty empty flight, so I could walk all around the plane and sit in different seats, and it was over in the red just about everywhere I sat in that airplane. It was unbelievable. And so one time, and this is what tipped me off, we just kept it, and this puts out a field of about maybe 6 feet or so, 2 meters. So my wife and I would always keep it between us, so we only had one box, and we always felt good flying and arriving. One day we just flew from Seattle to Frankfurt, which isn't a real long flight. It's about a 9-hour flight. And we got there and we were wiped out for 3 days. And I'm thinking, what is going on? We do this all the time. And I came up with the concept and idea that possibly it was from the electromagnetic fields in there that were so strong that you basically get exhausted from your body trying to fight this. And I'll show you some pictures of what happens in the blood. It's unreal. So this woman, she was in Bulgaria, and she offered to do a blood test for me with and without this little frequency generator. And so she took a sample of her blood, and it looked like this to begin with. Now, for the listeners, her blood wasn't in the best of shape to begin with. Realistically, the cells should have space around them, like this, where they're little, each round cell is not overlapping or on top of other cells. That allows the oxygen and nutrients to go into the cells to excrete the discharge of toxins and waste out of the cells. When they're clumped together like that, it's harder for the oxygen to get into the cells and the nutrients to get into the cells and to eliminate the toxins. So this was her blood to begin with, which is it's pretty clumpy to begin with. But then I had her make a 10-minute cell phone call with her phone, and it looked like this after 10 minutes. Now, for the listeners, I don't know, what would you describe this as? Look at this. Horrifying. That's probably the word I would say. It's just all clumped together. You can't even see one round cell. There's not a round cell in this picture. It's just clumps. It looks like mud clumps. And it's just unbelievable. So then I had said, okay, turn on your Qi organizer, your Qio, for 10 minutes and take another blood sample. So she did. And after 10 minutes, it looked like this. Now, it's not perfect yet, but now you see all the round cells and it's spreading out, looking way better than what she started with before she even made the cell phone call. So we've repeated this test over and over and over again. And it happens to every single person that we've tried. The blood just clumps together within 10 minutes of talking on a cell phone. Yes. And they're just trying to protect themselves. The cells are like, circling the wagons, so to speak, and saying, hey, what's this incoming frequency? I need to stop this. And so when it can orient back to the biofrequencies, then the cells can relax, open up, receive nutrients, receive the oxygen, and excrete the toxins. So we've done different types of experiments with holograms and hologram cards. I've produced, now this goes a little more into depth with what I write about in my book, which is radionics, where we imprint an informational frequency into a hologram and then broadcast that out into the field. So we've created different types of programs in these holograms. And you can even find a lot of these on Amazon now, these hologram stickers. People use them for pain or sports or sleep, things like that, with rave reviews. People love holograms. I'll show you a couple of double-blind studies. But I created all these different things. Even for your garden, you can put the unit next to your plants and put the enhanced garden one on there. Plants go crazy. But we've got them to balance the chakras or reduce pain or allergies or weight loss, reverse aging, stress, all that kind of stuff. There's a whole list of them. We have 25 different cards that we've
Love it.
created for this. And people are just, loving being able to change I call it the auric atmosphere, basically. It changes your auric atmosphere when you put one of these cards in. But practically what it does, now here's a picture of 3 nectarines. 2 of them had holograms put on them to keep the fruit fresh, and one of them didn't get the hologram. And now you can see, the people that are viewing this can see the hologram, that the nectarine that didn't get the hologram is dark and shriveled, and the ones that got them look like brand new. This was after just 14 days or so. But this was the one that really, really got me. A friend of mine, now this is not the actual apple because I only saw the end result. A friend of mine in Singapore saw my presentation. He said, "Oh, I'm going to try this." So he got an apple and he cut it into 2 pieces. So it's only 1 apple, but one was the control, which he didn't get the hologram, and the other one got the hologram. And then he let them sit out for 4 months, okay, to see what they would look like. And after 4 months, he cut the half of the apple that got the hologram. And look, you can see it's green inside. It's a green apple, and it's still green. That's after 4 months of sitting out on the table.
Wow.
You see the hologram there. Now let me show you the other half of the apple. Okay, are you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay, no small children watching this one. This is what it's completely rotted. It's brown. It's moldy. It's black. It just looks like what you would think an apple would look like after 4 months. So these things actually do work. They're just imprinted vibration into these holograms, but they emit a code, in essence, a code, many different codes. The programs are in the hologram have a lot of different codes, but to have a vitalization effect on different substances, for example, the apple. These were some double-blind studies where they did one of them on pain. And now this was a double-blind placebo-controlled study. So everybody got holograms, right?
Mm-hmm.
But only some of the people got the programmed hologram that was to reduce the pain, and the others didn't get anything. And nobody knew which ones they got, and the people that were putting them on didn't know. That was coded later. So it was a double-blind controlled placebo study. So they had 246 participants in Group A, 240 in Group B. In Group A that got the placebo, they only had an 18, Group B, I'm sorry. Group A got the actual charged holograph, and Group B got the placebo. Group A had an 83% improvement in their pain, which I think is quite enormous. Group B had an 18% improvement, which is consistent with placebo studies. 18 to 30% is very, very consistent. They did it with sleep. That's a little bit harder to quantify, but basically they felt like they slept deeper but not longer and were more rested. But this was an interesting one with rhinosinusitis. They had a 93% success rate in symptom relief in the charged holograms, and only a 9% success rate in the placebo group. Excuse me. We also have a room balancer where people can put it in their house. It basically will do the whole house. Does 1,000 square feet. So, and you can put in the hologram cards and send them remotely. And but then when we went, we live in Bali, and I met some designers in Bali, and we decided to make this jewelry out of this concept. So we took this frequency generator and we put it inside of these jewelry things. And so this was the first jewelry piece that we created, which is kind of large. Here, I can show you in the picture here. It's not too big, but it's a large pendant piece. And so, and people absolutely went nuts over it, bonkers. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing with the Sri Yantra on the front, and it's got tensor rings in it, organite, really incredible work. But for some people, it was a little big, so we also then made a smaller one. Which I'll show you the picture of the small one. There we go. A little tiny one about that big. And that's the one I'm wearing right now. Gorgeous. And this one, once we decided we were going to do a small one, I wanted to add the hologram cards as well. So we can actually put little hologram cards inside of the technology. So you can see the little hologram card in there. It's just on a little SD card. We stick the hologram on an SD card. I do want to go back though, just mention this one thing. This was a pendant from Japan. They call it a quantum pendant. And they say it increases your energy, and it's a little black disc with, looks like some wings on it. Became very popular on the internet. People were selling them. Then somebody discovered the reason they were feeling something from these is that they were radioactive. And so here's a Geiger counter next to one of these. And one of my clients in Germany tested it. And it says Gesundheitsgefährliche, which means dangerous to health. It's at 1.75. And it's sitting next to this pendant, the Geiger counter. And so I don't know how he got this idea. He just came up with the idea. He thought, well, what would happen if I put my Chio next to it? So he put the big Chio next to it. There you see the pendant. He just laid it there. And then it went into the green zone and reduced the radiation down to 0.9, which means it's safe. It's in the safe area. So that was, now I'm not saying it will reduce radioactivity, but it seems to show that, you know, he was able to do that just by placing it next to it. And I have not run these experiments. I didn't have a radioactive pendant to try, but it is interesting. I thought that was very fascinating.
Yes.
These are just more pictures of repeated before the cell phone, after 10 minutes, cell phone call clumping together. And then these they did in China. I have some people in China that did these for me. Some more pictures. Same thing. Every person we've tried, after 10 minutes on the cell phone, blood clumps together. Period. It's the end of story.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have seen those pictures myself earlier in searching for information on this. It's just...
Yeah. I'm not the only one that's done that. Yeah, that's where I got the idea. I saw somebody else do that too. I thought, oh, we should try that, you know.
Oh, this is so fantastic.
But these are also great with children. This girl's probably, 9 years old or something like that. Absolute doll. And the jewelry looks great on her. It's small enough to where, you know, kids can wear them. And we also have little plastic versions, economy versions and stuff.
Oh, I love it, Don. Yeah. I love it.
So this is the latest one. I really like this one. This is the bracelet. This is the one I'm wearing right now, which is it's a bracelet, but it opens up and it has the technology inside, and then we can also put the hologram cards inside. I think I've got better photos here, but we've got them in brass and silver and white brass, and there you can see it a little bit better.
This is so wonderful. Yeah, oh my gosh, I am so excited to share this information.
There you go. Yeah. So that's basically, you know, now that's not the only, these are not the only solutions to EMF protection. I want to stress for people that, you know, you don't have to go out and buy technology to reduce your EMF exposure. You know, first of all, put a timer on your modem so that at nighttime your Wi-Fi goes off while you sleep, because the pineal gland, these microwaves are up in the light frequency area. So, you know, our pineal gland perceives light and it doesn't produce melatonin then. Our pineal gland produces melatonin to get us to go to sleep when it gets dark. You know, it's kind of a built-in thing, and it's good for us. And when the Wi-Fi is on, if those signals are coming in, the pineal gland thinks that it's light outside and it won't produce as much melatonin, so people have difficulty going to sleep. So that's one thing. Another good thing for sleep is there's a program you can get on your computer. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen at this point.
And we have about 3 minutes left in the show.
Okay, great.
I'm really thinking we need to do a second show. So much to share.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting field. And okay, so we'll just wrap this up. But there is a program for your computer called Flux, Flux, which takes the blue down. The blue tends to keep us awake, especially if you're working at night. So when the sun goes down, it automatically cuts down the amount of blue that comes into your eyes, and it helps you then not get too revved up at night. So I use that. There's also this material stuff here. I've got some right here. This is like a material patch, and it completely blocks the EMF radiation going through the patch. It's like if you wrap your phone around it, it won't ring. I mean, it blocks it. So like this is a pocket patch. It's got sticky on the back. You can stick it on the inside of your pocket if you're going to keep it in your pocket, which I still don't recommend, but at least if you're going to keep it in your pocket, put a pocket patch on the inside of your pants to stop the radiation from going through. You know, there's just a lot of things. Don't put the cell phone on your head ever, you know, ever. Even in the instructions, they say keep it, you know, whatever, 3/4 of an inch away from your head when you're talking, because it falls off quickly. And don't let kids talk on cell phones. You look on the internet, you can see these radiation heat things going into the head, how far it penetrates from an adult versus a child. Just don't do it. StopSmartMeters.org. My free book, se-5.com. And then also go and watch some videos by Dr. Devra Davis, Devra Davis. She was part of the regulation for the Clinton administration. When all this was going on, she was in the White House basically helping people, you know, helping all these phone companies put out all these towers. And she was an appointee to the Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation. Well, at the time, there wasn't a lot of information, or at least she thought that it was okay. Later, after she was done with her job, one of her good friends who was a physician died of a brain tumor, and they figured out it came from him being on the cell phone all the time. And now she's totally on the other side of the fence, trying to educate people about how to protect yourself, because they're not going away. Let's face it, I have a smartphone, you know, everybody's got a smartphone. We got to have a smartphone.
I can be in a big crowd and see everybody on their phone. My phone's off, and I'm like, I'm getting it from them.
You're getting it from them, right?
Yeah.
So these little frequency generators go out about 2 meters. So you've got a little bubble around you, protection bubble. And then we've got one for the home that'll do 1,000 square feet. But yeah, people just need to investigate, really investigate, and unplug a little bit, or at least, like I said, put a timer on your Wi-Fi modem. Minimal, at least some minimal things. So anyway.
Thank you so much. Oh
yeah.
my gosh. This has been fantastic. Thank you to everyone out there, and anyone listening on the AM radio stations. You can watch this and see the pictures on YouTube and 5HD TV. If you don't find it, pop me an email at paula@wellnessinspired.com. Thank you, Don.
Sure.